Shabbat Shalom to everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
On this beautiful, beautiful evening in New York City where it feels like spring might actually be on its way. Well, we need a little sense of growth and budding in these hard times. It's an affirmation that the challenge of winter arrives with some seed planting and some possibility which we desperately need in these hard times. We welcome everyone who's here in person, and we're now in a mask-optional space trying to create a way for everyone to feel comfortable and safe. And for those who are joining us on live stream, we're really happy to be amongst a large extended community of those who are praying and anxious to welcome in Shabbat on this Parashat Tzav. We'll begin the tefillah with Yedid Nefesh, page 10, or page 252. going to invite anyone who's in the balcony who would like to make their way downstairs. We don't have to sit in the balcony anymore because we're not making people sit in specific places, and there are seats down here. So if you're inclined, we know everyone has their specific way of being, but we're going to just in a moment say, L'chun Ranana L'Adonai. We're going to go out and get Shabbat and sing to God, and it's always more beautiful when we're connected in lots of different ways, and proximity, safe proximity is a good way to be, and so if you're so inclined, there's certainly space downstairs. L'chun Ranana, page 11 or page 254.
L'chun Ranana נקדמה פניו בתודה בזמירות נריע לו כי גדול אדוני מלך העולם אשר בידו מכריע ארץ וטוב תרים לו אשר לא היה כי הוא אלוהינו אנחנו אמריתו רצון אלוהים קולו תשמעו
40 שנה אקוד בדור ואומר עבדו אל בבל והם לא ידעו דרכי אשר נשבעתי בבלי אם יבואון אל מנוחתי
Page 13. page 15 or page 254, Adonai Malach Tegel Arz Yisrael, Tzedek U'Mishpat Machon Kiso Ish Lefanav. Yibshu Kol Abdei Veselam Etahim
Shamea Vatismach Tzion Vatagelena Benot Yehuda Leman Mishpatecha Adonai. ולשרלף שמחה שמחו צדיקות באדוני והודו את זכר קודשו.
817 מזמור שיר לאדוני שיר חדש כי נפלאות עזר שיר הודי אדוני ישועתו לעיניהו הריעו לאדוני כל הארץ בצבורנו וזמרנו. Yiramayam umlot tevel yoshveiva narotim chauchaf yachad yachad arim yiraneinu lifnei Adonai kiva lishpot Adonai Mitzion Gadol Ramua
Moshe ve'Aaron v'chohanav u'Shmuel v'koreh shemo korim el Adonai v'hu ya'aneh. והשתחוו להר קודשו כי קדוש אדוני אלוהינו.
Please rise and body your spirit, page 21 or page 260. seated. Shabbat Shalom to everyone.
Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Just a few weeks ago, as we entered the second month of Adar, which we know the principle, Mishenichnas Marbim Basimcha, when Adar comes, joy increases. And I think I wasn't the only one who found it very difficult to find the joy increase in the last couple of weeks with the war in Ukraine and the incredible amount of devastation. And even though we baked Hamantashen and we put together our Mishloach Manot in my family, with the onset of Purim arriving, I was just not in the mood. And I woke up on Wednesday morning. It was Tanit Esther, the fast of Esther, which is a minor fast, and which I don't always fast. And this year I chose to fast in solidarity because the people fasted as Esther went to approach the king. The notion of fasting is a way to plea and be in solidarity and hold the fragility, really, of the universe. And then Roli and Shuli and Becca and I made our way to a rally/protest in front of the U.S. mission to the UN, which was organized by Rabbi Avi Weiss, and who was actually a huge leader in the fight for Soviet Jewry in the 80s, along with a Ukrainian priest, amongst a couple of other Ukrainian clergy and leaders. And we had some speeches, there was some prayers and some singing, and then there was a ritual of a funeral procession with a baby coffin with the Ukrainian flag over it, and the Ukrainian priest, along with some of these other Ukrainian leaders, sang, I don't know what they were singing, but I assume similar to a psalm or something that we would sing as we walked this small coffin to the doors of the mission. It was riveting, I have to say. I was in the position of holding the coffin. I've been obviously amongst hundreds, if not thousands, of funerals, but never had that specific role of holding a coffin of a child. Obviously, it was an empty coffin. And it just sunk into the body and into the soul. And although we can't fly and make a difference, although there was a rabbinic mission to Poland this past week, and there's been so much outpouring of the Jewish community amongst many other communities to support the people of Ukraine and the millions of refugees at this point, it felt like at least we could do that. And then I made my way up back home or to the office and completed the rest of the day and prepared for Purim and got all my costumes ready and put on the get-up and the whole thing and made my way here. And by the time I got here and the festivities started to begin, that felt necessary too. Also, it's been 2 years since the pandemic. Literally, Purim was the last communal event we had. And to see a sanctuary filled with children and adults and community members that we hadn't seen in a very long time also felt deeply right. And as I was reflecting on the day and how full it was in so many ways, in very low and painful places and in very high and joyous places, I am struck by the power of ritual to hold all of our emotions, that we kind of seek some kind of structure to land somewhere in the midst of the fact that life isn't predictable and that we don't have control over everything. And in fact, we're now in the book of Vayikra, the book of Leviticus, which is all about ritual and structure. And the kind of joke is if you become bar bat mitzvah in the book of Vayikra, you're like, my parsha is not so great. It's filled with a lot of sacrifices, blood and guts, laws, There's very little narrative, although there's some. But in many ways, the power of the book, and Dr. Arnie Eisen points to this in his book, Taking Hold of Torah, is one aspect of the book of Leviticus that goes kind of unspoken, is the fact in the messiness of life and all the mistakes we make as human beings, is actually we can get ritual right. Like, we know how to do it, we know what to follow. The Torah is pretty explicit about how to go about it, and it works. For all the things we can't get right, it's actually something that we can get right. We can put it to use in that way, which is a good coaching for living, that we can move and follow things and actually hit the nail on the head sometimes, and it can be just right. And I felt that about Wednesday, like that it helped me hold the sense of all that was wrong with something that helped make it not go away, but help like channel that. And then the other thing about these structures of ritual and endless sacrifices, which of course now in our time is the structure of the prayer service, is that it gives us some sense of control in the midst of a lack of control. That part of religious life is to channel the fact that we don't have control over everything in a way that gives us some agency. And ritual does that too. And in fact, I think many of us come here week after week for services to give a sense of purpose, connectedness, structure, of meaning, so that we can channel our fears and our nervousness and our lack of sense of we can predict anything in a way that actually is powerful and meaningful. And that's another reason why the book of Vayikra is so compelling. But along with the structures of meaning and the following of the laws and the kind of, this is where you could say that the tradition is kind of obsessive, compulsive in a certain way about the precision with regard to ritual, amongst, of course, the laws of kashrut, which appear in the book of Leviticus, as well as the calendar year, amongst all these things, is a pasuk, as the opening of the Parashat Tzav goes and discusses the sacrifices, and then there's one verse that says, Eish tamid tukan al hamizbeach lo tichbe. A perpetual fire shall be kept burning on the altar, not to go out. And of course, this is meant to say that the sacrifices should always have a pilot light, essentially, that there should be a constancy with which that happens. But Hasidic masters take this to another place in the Maggid of Mezrich. Again, most of these Hasidic masters come from the Ukraine or Belarus. This is their country. He puts a very particular valence on this pasuk. In the midst of all those structures and rigidness around the performance of ritual, is he says that to bring an offering, this verse, he rereads the verse to say, Ha'esh tichbe et halo. The fire will extinguish the no. The fire, he completely rereads the verse, Ha'esh tichbe et halo. The fire will extinguish the lo. And for anyone who knows Hebrew, lo means no. So the purpose of fire is to squash the no. What does that mean? Of course, that having fire, having love and passion, which is what fire means in the best of sense in the tradition, spiritually, the fire for God, the searching, the meaning of life emanating inside of us will extinguish negativity. And the tendency toward the no, I can't, we can't, it's impossible, we're never going to find our way through. He says the fire will suppress that, which is part of what the structure of all these sacrifices to do is to say, to go against the tendency to say no. And we have seen this displayed this week with a rabbi from Israel who her birthplace was in Ukraine, who went and flew to Ukraine to read the Megillah for Purim with her birthplace of origin. All the ways amidst and horrid circumstances in Ukraine, people offering up a yes, an affirmation, a dedication, a belief that there is something to offer and to assert. Ha'esh tichbei et halo, the fire that extinguishes the no, is also a fire of resilience, one that asserts despite the hardship, despite the injustice, despite the pain, that there is something worth fighting for, that there is a larger structure of meaning and purpose. And we also have seen that incredibly displayed amongst the people of Ukraine at this time, who believe deeply in their sense of purpose as a country. And we see that, I think I've seen that for years, of course, as a rabbi, about how people are resilient and push through. Ha'esh tichbei et halo, the fire that extinguishes the no, is also a fire of faith, of not being alone in it all, as a community devoted to God. And in fact, the tradition says we bring forth our fire and we are met with heavenly fire. It may seem, as we plod through the book of Vayikra, sacrifice by sacrifice, detail by detail, but it is in this book that we have been bequeathed a structure of meaning and purpose, and the reminder over and over again in its detail that we do not want to live as empty, hopeless vessels. We want to bring forth the fire, a fire that asserts possibility over negativity, a fire that gives us strength to find our way through, and a fire of faith, a fire of yes, a fire that says yes to love, a fire that says yes to dignity, a fire that says yes to community, a fire that says yes to justice, and a fire that says yes to peace. Ken Yehi Ratzon, so may it be.
Amen.
We turn now to the Chadodi as we say yes to Shabbat and this possibility of this extraordinary day. Page 23 or page 262.
ושמו אחד לשם
It's Shabbos.
Shabbos.
Breathe into the joy and the beauty of Shabbat. We sing Mizmor Shir L'Yom HaShabbat, the song for Shabbat on page 27 or page 266. Mizmor Shir, Mizmor Shir, L'Yom HaShabbat.
Mizmor Shir, Mizmor Shir, L'Yom HaShabbat. Tov להודות לאדוני ולזמר לשמך עליון.
להגיד בבוקר חסדך ואמונתך בלילות. מזמור שיר, מזמור שיר ליום השבת.
מזמור שיר, מזמור שיר ליום השבת.
ויעצור עלינו ועלינו במעשה ידיך עלינו הגדול מעשך.
נשבע לא ידעוש
כי הנה אויביך אדוני,
הנה אויביך אדוני, כי הנה אויביך יהודך צדיק גדול כך באיזה ניסוי שתהיה לתת תמונה מחצה ולהיבריחו.
Vienu bunda sava, descenim veraniniu, lehagim yasharai, tzulim ve'novaramo.
Page 29, Adonai Malach Yudam Eshamesh Adonai Yosef Azar.
עדותיך נאמנו מאוד לביתך נא בקודש.
לביתך נא בקודש אדוני לאורך ימים. beautiful nigun of the Baal Shem Tov, again from the area of Ukraine. We ask everyone to please rise for our reads on page 39A or page 279.
ברכו את אדוני המבורך ברוך אדוני המבורך לעולם ועד.
You may be seated. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Hashem Yisrael Marim Marim
אשר בזמן יום ולילה
ומעביר יום ומביא לילה, ומבדיל בין יום ובין לילה, אדוני צבאות שמו, אל חי וקיים, תמיד ימלוך עלינו לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני, המעריב הרבי.
Page 40, Avat Tanam Beit Yisrael Amchata Torah Mitzvot Ukim Shotim Otam Mimanata Ki Hem Chayenu Ve'orech Yameinu Uvahem Negeh Yomam V'layla Ve'avatcha Tasir Mimenu Le'olamim Baruch atah Adonai Ohev Amo Yisrael. ובכל מאודך והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבבך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו כתובות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך ובשמות תשמעותם. Continue 43A. We pray for redemption, page 44 or page 290.
ומלכותו ברצון קיבלו עליהם משה ומרים ובני ישראל וחי כי פדה אדוני את יעקב וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל.
We pray for peace, page 45 or page 292. Ashkivin, Adonai, Leinu Shalom, Amen. Ufros Aleinu Sukat Shlomecha B'Tafninu B'Etzat Tova.
Baruch atah Adonai, haporeh sukat shalom aleinu, ve'al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshei tevel, ve'al Yerushalayim. Vishamro, page 46 or page 294.
יתגדל ויתקדש מרבה בעלמה דברה קירותה וימליך מלכותה בחייכון וביום נכון ובחיי לכל בית ישראל בגלה ובזמן קריב ואמרו אמן יש רבה מברך מעלם לעלמי עלמיה יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשה ברכו לאלה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה דמירן בעלמה.
We turn now to the Silent Amidah, the formal text in the Siddur, on page 47 to 52 in the Lev Shalem, or page 296 in Sim Shalom, or the prayers of your own heart. Please remain standing by Yuchulu, page 53 or page 314.
ויחולו השמיים והארץ וכל צבאם, ויחל אלוהים ביום השביעי מלאכתו אשר עשה, וישפוט ביום השביעי מכל מלאכתו אשר עשה. ויברך אלוהים את יום השביעי ויקדש אותו, כי בו שבת מכל מלאכתו אשר ברא אלוהים לעשות.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו ואמותינו, אלוהי אברהם, אלוהי יצחק ואלוהי יעקב, אלוהי שרה, אלוהי רבקה, אלוהי רחל ואלוהי לאה, האל הגדול, הגיבור והנורא, העליון, קונה שמיים וארץ.
מגן אבות בגברו, בחיי מתים במאמרו, האל הקדוש שאין כמוהו, המניח לעמו ביום שבת קודשו, כי בא להניח להם, כי בא רצה להניח להם, לפניו נעמוד ביראה ופעל ונודה לשמוע בכל יום תמיד מאוד הברכות.
אלוהי אבותינו ואמותינו רצה במנוחתנו, קדשנו במצוותיך ותן חלקנו בתורתך. סבנו 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 מטובך, סבנו 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 מטובך, ושמח נפשנו בישועתך, וטהר ליבנו לעובדך באמת, וטהר ליבנו לעובדך באמת. סבנו 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 מטובך, ושמח נפשנו אוי בישועתך, וטהר ליבנו לעובדך באמת, והנחילנו אדוני אלוהינו באהבה וברצון שבת קודשך, וינוחו בה ישראל מקדשי שמך. ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת.
Kaddish Shalem, page 54, 316. יתגדל יקרא שם לרבי, עמד ימלכותי וימליך מלכותי, וחייכון וימלכון וחייתך ובית ישראל, בגדה ופן קוראים ויאמרו אמן.
יהי שמי רבא מבורך, לעולם ולעלמי עלמיה, יתברך וישתבח.
וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל, שמי לקודשה וכיכו לאלה מן כה ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, תמירן בעלמה ואימרו
אמן.
תתקבל צלותיהן ונבואותיהן לכל ישראל קודם הבואן וישמע ואמרו אמן.
אמן. יהי שלום רב ונשמעיה לחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ויאמרו אמן.
אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו ויעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ועל כל יושבי תבל
This Shabbat we celebrate the Bat Mitzvah of Naomi Redliner, and she'll lead us in Kiddush. This is your moment. Come on up. And she's walking on 2 feet, which is good because in the fall you were on crutches, right? So you're in good shape. We're so happy to have you here this Shabbat leading us in the Tefillah and being called to the Torah tomorrow morning. Naomi will lead us in Kiddush on page 55, and we're going to sing something as since we have little Kiddush cups for everyone. And if you're online joining us davening from home, please fill up a cup of juice or a cup of wine, and so you'll be able to join with us.
קדשנו במצוותיך ותן חלקנו בתורתך. קדשנו במצוותיך ותן חלקנו בתורתך. רי 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 צוותנו בטובך ושמח נפשנו ישועתך. צוותנו בטובך ושמח נפשנו ישועתך. יא בביי רי 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 מרדן רי 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 רי
Page 55 or page 318.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu b'shabbat kodsho be'ahava u'v'ratzon hinhilanu zikaron l'maaseh bereshit ki hu yom tehillah l'mikra'ei kodesh zeher l'tziat mitzrayim kivanu v'harta v'tanu kidashta mikol ha'amim v'shabbat kodshecha be'ahava u'ratzon hinhaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai mikadesh hashabbat.
L'chaim. Drink. It's juice. It's juice. It's not wine. All the children who are here are invited to come under the talit.
המלאך הגואל אותי, המלאך הגואל אותי מכל רע, יברך את הנער בשם אבותיי, בשם אבותיי, אברהם ויצחק, וידגו לרוב, וידגו לרוב, בקרב הארץ.
ישימך אלוהים כשרה רבקה רחב עליי, ישימך אלוהים כאפרים וכמנשה, יברכך אדוני וישמרך, יאר אדוני פניו אליך ויחונך, יישא אדוני פניו אליך וישם לכם שלום. אמן. עלינו.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם דרכנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם. אנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא.
שמות השמיים וזרועות השמיים ויוסף
ושכינת
הזוהר וגופים מרומים, ואלוהינו למלכים. אוקיי, נקווה לך.
ככתוב בתורתך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ. ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
We turn now to Mourner's Kaddish on page 58 or page 324 and invite those who are marking a yard site or in mourning to please rise as well as unmute if you're on Zoom. Yitgadal v'kadash shemei Rabba v'ama divrach yimute v'yamlich machute v'chaychon v'yamechon v'chayei v'chol beit Yisrael b'gala u'bizman kariv v'yamru amen. Yehei shmei Rabba v'rach l'adam omei omaya. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתהלל ויתהלל שמי לקודשה בריחו לילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה דמירן ועלמה ויאמרו אמן. יהי שלמה רבה מן שמיה וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ויאמרו אמן. עושה שלום ועל כל יושבי תבל ויאמרו אמן. Shabbat Shalom to everyone. It's wonderful for those in person to be here and as well as online and being together as a community for Shabbat. We want to wish a mazal tov to Naomi and her whole family on becoming a bat mitzvah. She'll be called to the Torah tomorrow morning at the tefillah beginning at 9:30. We also want a big mazal tov. It's wonderful to see you, Bruce and Audrey Seloff. They just had a great-granddaughter a couple of months ago, Amelia Nettie, Claren mazal tov. And to Lois Perelson Gross and Stuart Gross on the recent wedding of their daughter, Hannah Perelson Gross, to Sam Brewer. Mazal tov, we want to say a welcome. It's wonderful to have communities coming back to visit, to the congregation B'nai Shalom from Westboro, Massachusetts, and the high schoolers from congregation Beth Elohim in Acton, Mass. And I think there's a high school student who is the child of someone I went to Hebrew school with, who just messaged me this afternoon wondering, is that Evan up there? That's the one. Welcome. She was a great person to be in Hebrew school with, your mom. Shabbat morning services at 9:30, 11 o'clock early childhood family services in person, and tomorrow evening, now that the clock has changed, although who knows what's going to happen moving into the future, if it passes the House, what's going to be in the fall, 8 o'clock Arvit and Havdalah on Zoom. Tomorrow on Sunday morning we have Minyan at 9:30, and following Minyan at 10:30 we'll continue with our Shemitah, with our Torah of Israel series on Shemitah. We're going to have the privilege of learning from Einat Kramer. What is the connection between Judaism and environmentalism, and how is it connected to the Shemitah in Israel this year? How is truly it being lived out in Israeli society, since it's actually a mitzvah that's only associated with the land of Israel. So we're going to hear from Einat, and at 7 o'clock following evening Minyan, actually Grace has been the connector of this. There is, after Mincha Aravit, which is at 6:30, we're going to hear from Elisa Zilberstein, who's a senior rabbinical student at JTS, to discuss the current situation in Ukraine and ways to help. Elisa and her partner Victor came to New York from Ukraine a few years ago, and we're planning to return to Ukraine after Elisa's ordination this year. Their family and friends are in Kyiv right now. So Elisa has been speaking to a number of communities, and we're blessed through the relationship of Grace and Aaron to have them speak to us Sunday evening. Wednesday, I'll be teaching the third of the series. Rolly taught on biblical Shemitah, Becca taught on Rabbinic Shemitah, and I'll be teaching on the Hasidic lens on the Shemitah on 7 o'clock on Wednesday evening. And just a quick view into the future. On Sunday, April 3rd, we're going to have a concert that we had anticipated having in January that Don, our music director, has been working deeply hard on, called God Knows Everything is Broken, Bob Dylan's American Mythology. Rabbi Aubrey Glazer, who did a book on Leonard Cohen and his Jewish roots, has written a book on Bob Dylan, and so there'll be the Mickey Levin concert series. We'll have Rabbi Aubrey Glazer here, and the music and the story, and should be a beautiful evening on April 3rd. And finally, for those who are in the sanctuary or those who see who's in the sanctuary, you'll see that we have a diverse sanctuary, which in many ways is true, but this Shabbat it's true because some are masked and some are not, and we've now moved into a mask optional space on our BJ campus. Recognizing that some people are ready to take their masks off and some are not. Some are immunocompromised and some are not. Some children have been vaccinated and those under 5 have not. And so we're living in a changed world, and so we're trying to hold that multi-vocality of our community in safety and security, and also in faith moving forward. So we ask that everyone hold each other in this transition, and that we don't make assumptions or judgments about people's choices, but that we hold together in the beautiful ways that we've held over the past 2 years and continue to hold each other moving forward. The only exception to our mask optional policy is Kadima at BJ, which will go mask optional beginning on April 5th, and all early childhood services and programs will continue to be masked until kids can be vaccinated. The vaccination and booster requirement for those eligible is continuing to be in effect. And finally, of course, our hearts remain with the people of Ukraine, and there are many ways to support and help out by giving tzedakah. We have a collection here at the community house as well. We sent an email last week before Purim, so we continue to, for what we can do, we can do it. And we should also demand that our government do more in terms of raising the numbers of refugees, which are still not enough to accommodate even a small amount of refugees, whether it's from Afghanistan or from the Ukraine, as well as others, and continue to ask of our government to, as it's been doing, to support, but to support more. And so our hearts will remain in solidarity with the people of Ukraine and the world, which is really uniting against this brutal dictator. We'll conclude with Angels of Peace welcomed in Shalom Aleichem, page 73 or 722.
Shalom Aleichem, Shalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malchei, הקדוש ברוך הוא שכן לשלום מלאכי השלום מלאכי עליון ממלך מלאכי המלאכים הקדוש
Adonai oz le'amo yitain. May God give strength to God's people. Adonai yivarech etamav b'shalom. May God bless all of God's people with peace. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat
Shabbat Shalom.
Shalom.